Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing very, very well because I am having a lovely start to my Saturday. And it is a hot one here, but it is just an amazing day. I've been doing chores and reading a bit here and there and just spending some time with my kids and my family, and it is fantastic, and I'm making it even better because I get to talk to you guys a bit today, and I'm launching a new video series, so I'm super excited about that. So let me tell you, as you guys know, I've talked about it. I got to go to Book Expo and I got a lot of books that are coming out through the rest of the year. And I was trying to figure out a fun and way to talk to you about them, but I didn't want to do one whole video where I just dumped a bunch of upcoming releases on you and they weren't even near coming out, so they would get lost in the shuffle. So I'm calling this new series that I'm putting together Gray Expectations, where I'm going to tell you about the books coming out in the next month that I'm super excited about, that I got from either publishers or at Book Expo or anywhere, so that you guys can know, hey, I can get these books in the month of June, July, August, whenever, so that you will have them on your radar. And they'll be there. You can get them. You can go get them. But this month will be different because I am going to talk about June and July, because there are some books in June that I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about that I want to make sure on your radar. And then also there's some amazing stuff coming out in July. Some of it I've talked about, but I definitely want to make sure you guys are aware. So we got to get started because there are a lot of books in these two piles. So let's begin. So one book that I don't have to say much about because I've talked about it a lot is Florida by Lauren Groff. This is a short story collection. I have read everything Lauren Groff has written and I adore her as a writer. All of the short stories in this collection focus on Florida in some way, shape, or form. It gets back into it. I have read the first story in this collection. I'm taking it nice and slow, and Lauren Groff is amazing at creating the Florida atmosphere. It is fantastic. She can just write about very simple, easy stuff, and she just grabs you. Oh, it's so good. So this came out at the beginning of June, so don't miss it if you haven't had a chance to pick it up. And if you don't want to read her latest first, I highly recommend all of her backlist. They are all fantastic. And then get yourself up for Florida by Lauren Groff. Another book that I've talked about a bit on the channel but did come out in June that I just want to make sure, and everyone who has seen this in any of my hauls has said this book is fantastic. That is There by Tommy Orange. This is an own voice Native American. This book story that takes place at the Big Oakland Powwow, so it's in the Bay, close to home. I did meet Tommy Orange at Book Expo and he was fantastic, and he actually lives not too far away, and so I'm just taking him on as a local author that I am a huge fan of. I am going to be reading this book in July. It is on my TBR for that month. This is about a group of people that meet at the Big Oakland Powwow and all of their stories intertwining. I've heard that it has great emotional charge. I've also heard there are fantastically strong women characters in it, and I am super excited about There by Tommy Orange. The next book that I have already finished is Sick by Porochista Khakpour, and I'm sorry, I really do try on that name. This is a memoir about a woman who fights illness in so many ways. She talks about drug addiction, she talks about addictive personalities, but it also has a lot to do with her suffering through Lyme disease. She has stage 4, I think, Lyme disease, and she is constantly dealing with the illness, and she talks about the history of the illness and sort of the dismissive nature that the medical community has towards Lyme disease, because it's one of those things where you get diagnosed after being diagnosed with just about everything else. It's honest, it's brutal, it's very poetic, and she just has a way of getting to the heart of a lot of matters about being ill in America. So I highly recommend Sick if you haven't had a chance to pick it up. It is an easy, powerful, great read. So yeah, Porochista Khakpour's Sick, yeah, super good. The next book I want to tell you about came out just a week ago or so, and that's The Great Believers by Rebecca Makkai. This was sent to me by Viking, so thank you very much, Viking. This novel, I have always wanted to read her, and I don't know why I haven't, but this novel just really speaks to me. It's set in 1985-ish Chicago, where we have a main character who runs an art museum, and is about really to set up an exhibit that is going to change his art museum's history and sort of the future of it. but he's also dealing with the AIDS crisis that is going on. His friends are getting sick, his friends are dying, and his partner gets sick. And then he is worried about his partner, and he's worried about being sick himself and dealing with all of that, and really finds solace in his partner's sister. I've heard this book is going to tear my heart out. I cannot wait to read it. I've heard nothing but amazing things. And she is on book tour right now, so go ahead and check out her website and try to get it out. So again, thank you, Viking, for sending me The Great Believer by Rebecca Makkai. Now, these 3 books I picked out, they are all up, and I think they all came out in June. One I'm not quite sure about, so I'm going to tell you about it anyway, because I think it did. And that is Treeborne by Caleb Johnson. This is out by Picador. And the reason this sort of, one, the cover is phenomenal, and it has a blurb by Jill McCorkle, who is an author that I absolutely adore, on the back. This is a story of a woman who lives in a little town in Alabama. Her last name is Treeborne, and she is the keeper of an orchard that has gone through a bunch of historical things. There's like it just has sort of a history in and of itself, and something is coming, and it always sort of survives. Well, something's coming, and the owner is fearful that it is not going to survive. And so she starts to tell the history of the orchard, and it's set in this little town in Alabama, so there's the history of the community and the history of the people that bought it. I think it sounds just so good, and that is Treeborne by Caleb Johnson, and it was just a purchase that I got because of the author who blurbed it, and it sounded amazing. I heard about the next book, The Book of M by Peng Shepard, on my friend Emily, Possibly Literate's page or channel, and I was like, okay, I have to go get a copy of this book. This is a dystopian novel where people start losing their memory, and it sort of becomes an epidemic. And we have two main characters, couples, where one of them starts to lose her memory, so she leaves, so her partner doesn't have to deal with it, and he goes searching for her. I think it sounds fantastic. There are so many versions of this book out right now with amazingly beautiful covers, and I've heard it's really good. So I'm super excited about The Book of M by Peng Shepard. This is out by W.M. Morrow. So yeah, oh, so good. And then the next book is, yeah, you guys, I think the cover just makes me laugh, and that's Number One Chinese Restaurant by Lillian Lee. This is the story of a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, the Beijing Duck House in Rockville, Maryland. And this is about the people that work, own, and are their livelihoods focus on it. Stuff starts to happen, things start to go bad, and sort of how it affects everybody that works there, owns there. I don't want to know too much because I want it to be funny, because come on, guys, that cover. So that's Number One Chinese Restaurant by Lillian Lee. Okay, so we are now done with June and we're going into July. All of the books that I talked to you about from previously are out, so you can go purchase any of them. Hopefully you have your paper, your pen, your Goodreads, and they have already made it onto your TBR. So I have a few books in July that I definitely want to tell you about, and yeah, so excited. One of them I'm halfway through, so I can tell you a lot about it, and that's Suicide Club by Rachel Heng. This is out by Henry Holt, and this comes out in July. And this is a novel set sort of in the very near future, where people have started to be able to live longer and longer. Science has started all these different things about your organs and your skin, and there's all these laws and rules on how to survive longer and live longer. Our main character is expected to possibly be in what's called the third wave of people that will live forever. And she is, her mother has passed away, and her father did not want to be part of this world anymore and left. And what happens at the beginning of the book is she is one day walking down the street, and she thinks she sees her father, who she hasn't seen in years. She takes a step to try to follow him and steps into traffic, and the powers that be think she is trying to end her life. And what we find out is there are a whole group in the society, in this world, who don't want to live forever. They don't think living forever means your life is better. It just means it's longer. There's a sci-fi accent. What I really like about this book is she doesn't sort of world build in big chunks and paragraphs. As you're going along, things pop up and you'll be like, huh, I don't quite understand that. But as you get to know the characters in the world, things start to come together, piece after piece after piece. And It is so good. I'm over halfway. I totally am in love with it. I just stopped it because I had to read my book club book. But I am totally going to finish this in the month of July, and it comes out in July. You should definitely see if you can find Rachel Heng. And this is The Suicide Club, again, out by Henry Holt. The next book was given to me by Akashic Books at Book Expo, and they are a lovely little independent press. And this is called Praise Song for the Butterflies, and it's by Bernice L. McFadden. This is the story of a young girl. She's 9, I believe, and she lives in Ghana. She's from a very affluent, well-to-do family. Life has always been very good for her family when things take a turn. And she is sacrificed to a religious shrine by her father and given up in a hope to change the way and the family sort of luck that's going on. And she is there, and it is not good. Not good. And at the years later, she is released. I don't know if she's saved or if she escapes. It's ambiguous enough that I want to know when I read it. And it is about dealing with life after. So I think that sounds fantastic. I have not read a lot of books from Ghana, and that is Praise Song for the Butterflies by Bernice L. McFadden, and this is out in July as well. I want to say July 3rd, so it's coming out soon. And this is by Akashic Books. Cool. Okay, so the next book I've talked about a bit, but I don't want you to miss What We Were Promised by Lucy Tan. This comes out on the 10th of July by Little Brown. Thank you, Little Brown, for sending me a copy, and Lucy. This is the story of a family that is from China, moved to America, and moves back to China, back to Shanghai. They live in a very well-to-do apartment building on the top floor, and an item goes missing that sort of sets into play a bunch of different retrospective looks into the family. The father, is he in the right job? Is he in a job that he feels adds no value to the world? The wife, did she marry the right man? She may be in love with his brother. The kids, who are they in this world? Are they American? Are they Chinese? How do they deal with all of that? This was recommended to me by my friend Chloe Benjamin of The Immortalists. I've heard nothing but great things, and I'm super excited for What We Were Promised by Lucy Tan. And again, Little Brown comes out on July 10th. The next book I don't know a whole lot about, but I am super excited because I haven't read a lot of collections or stories from Jamaica. So this is a short story collection called How to Love a Jamaican by Alexia Arthur. And this is out by Ballantine Books, and it comes out on July 24th. And I know most of the stories in here deal with Jamaica or America. And there's like a little blurb in here about one of the stories where it says, in the story The Ghost of Jayi, a recently murdered international student haunts a despairing Jamaican athlete recruited to an Iowa college. I don't know why, but that story sounds interesting and fascinating and a different take on a bunch of things that I think could be very cool. So if you're looking for a short story collection in July, may I recommend How to Love a Jamaican by Alexia Arthurs. And again, this is out by Ballantine Books on July 24th. I feel like the last book I'm going to talk about really doesn't need much description because I've been talking about it forever because I want to read it so bad, and now I can because it comes out on July 31st. So thank you, Reese R.L. Kwan, for sending me this book. Thank you, Riverhead Books. This comes out on July 31st. I will be seeing her in person at Green Apple Books on the 31st for her launch. If you are in the Bay, please come say hi, come meet her, and come get a copy of this novel. The Incendiaries by R.O. Kwan. Now, I've heard that this book is sort of like a mystery thriller. It has a lot going on it. I've read the first 40 pages a number of times. This is about a group of friends. There's a religious cult aspect. It has to do with Korean Americans. It has to do with a bunch of different things. And she is just a phenomenal writer. I love following her on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm so excited that I'm finally going to get to read this because I wanted to hold off until the actual month that it was published. So that is, again, The Incendiaries by R.O. Kwan. It is out on July 31st by Riverhead Books. So there you go. There's a big stack of books, all of them out or coming out. I hope they all made it onto your TBR because I think they all sound fantastic. As always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so much. I hope you absolutely loved it. And if you are new, welcome, and I hope you subscribe. And until next time, happy reading, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye!